For episode 4 of the Sideline, we got Buddy Shelton, Morgan Smith, Billy Lavender, and Jay Davis.
It's episode 3 for you, though.
Episode 3. Yeah, it was my wife did not do her job last week and did not get me out.
The burns start early.
Well, good thing she doesn't get up and watch this.
Yeah, Ben was a no-call, no-show. It's firebull fence around here.
I woke up at 8:07 and couldn't believe it, and I was very, very sorry. But did not even wake up till 8:07.
Well, that's somehow not as bad as showing up 3 minutes late, like Buddy did.
It really is.
I'd rather Buddy just not showing up than show up.
And the bad part about it is, he knew where I was, so he just did that on purpose just to try to prove a point.
He started at 6:57.
Yeah, he did.
I was ready to go by myself. Jay didn't walk in here until 6:59. I was literally like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to do this by myself. It's going to be the very last one we ever do.
Well, we all made it this week.
Glad to be here, too.
Mm-hmm.
We had some good games last week.
Exciting Texas High game. And not only is the game exciting to watch, of course, I didn't travel there. I had to watch it. But listening to Billy announce it is just as exciting as...
I do get a lot of text about you announcing the games.
Could you tell what was going on when I was announcing?
Well, they were like, it's like sitting behind the annoying fan.
There you go.
Excitement is a good word.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And, if David J was my QB1, I would probably be pretty excited as well.
Man, I'm telling you, when that offense gets rolling, it's I become a fan behind the mic. I can't help it.
So I'll blame you.
Yeah, I meant to ask Morgan this week. I didn't know. I thought maybe Buc-ee's had came on as a sponsor as much as y'all kept talking about.
Yeah, dude, they need to start paying for this stuff.
I'm sorry. You're right.
The later it got in the game, y'all were like, hey, man, we're going to be at the Buc-ee's after the game. If anybody wants to go by there, we'll be at the Buc-ee's.
Yeah, I mean, we need to.
When it
get
gets
some
out
sort
of hand,
sponsorship.
I know when it gets out of hand, we get out of hand, kind of. But
He did give Nash Eye Care a pretty slick shout out the other night.
Oh, he did. He
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. What was it exactly?
well, the referees were.
Needing an appointment?
They needed an appointment at Nash Eye Care,
Yeah,
and
that's what
I just let it be known. I mean, I wasn't going to bash them or anything like that. I just let it be known. I mean, it was almost blatant. So
Y'all be surprised how often I hear from that organization about, oh, you're too hard on the refs or this or that. And like, and one of them, they had me heated. The basketball game last year.
So I can kind of explain that a little bit. So I was actually on the call with Morgan, and I go to jump on the ref, and Morgan grabs me and is like, "Hey, no, can't do that. We all about that." And I'm like, "Okay." So I sit there and move on with how it's going, and then the next thing I know, Morgan's doing it, and I was like, "Well, hey, it's his show. He can go on and roll with it."
Hey, man, they were in the wrong.
They were.
I let it slide for a little bit. Then I was like, this is just so obvious you can't not acknowledge it. Yeah, they were bad. And at this point, I believe it was on purpose. Which is crazy because you'll never hear me say, oh, the refs cheated or this or that. But it was so wild. The only reason you let a kid stand there and fake fall down every play is if you know you're getting the calls. I ain't seen 10 charging calls in an entire season. And I saw 7 in a quarter.
I know this is a football show, and I know we done tricked over to basketball somehow. Started with the eye guys, and now we're here. But
that's a song, isn't it? Yeah.
Coach Jackson at Hooks is such a good coach and all that. I come up to him days after it. Dang, Coach, man, the ref robbed you. Of course, he's like, no, they didn't. We missed 19 free throws.
Oh.
Hey, listen.
and
one team was superior to the other. And the unsuperior team somehow won, and they tried to even out the fouls late in the game when that's how you would do it. You would get someone down real early and then even it up on paper late. They tried to do that. Hooks still should have won that game. I mean,
was that
they
Chapel
still
Hill?
should have won, but I don't think they get those calls late that they were getting because they weren't getting them early. Yeah, it was Chapel Hill.
Yeah, and
with the referees were the Mount Pleasant chapter. I just want to add.
Yeah, and it was not to get too far off into it, but it was a sight to see.
We have multiple instances of fake charging calls.
All right, let's move
Well,
into
there weren't
player of
any
the
fake
week.
charge calls in the game.
Yeah, they called real ones, but they definitely weren't charging calls. All right, my bad.
No, it's good. We just, I'm not a basketball guy anymore. So
Well, I mean, it's Arkansas fans typically start talking about basketball this time of the year.
Yeah, but we
Yeah,
had
so-
And
that
now
too
we
this
and now
year.
we got Hooks fans bringing
Do
the
they even
basketball
have a
games
ba-
early.
they
in the
even
year.
have a basketball team yet?
Lee.
Wait a minute, we
Man,
just
I just
knocked
don't
off
know.
Alabama last week, didn't we? I was at the game.
Hold
Well,
on.
South Alabama.
Jay was
Yeah,
quick on his feet.
some Alabama, it counts. Same.
That's right.
Y'all got basketball players yet?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
we got
we're,
like
we're
15
playing
of
the
them.
#1 team in the nation in October.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Kansas.
God, what's gonna
We'll
be a
beat
beat
them.
down?
That's right.
Well, we'll move it since we'll go ahead and get off of this Arkansas bashing thing. So
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah,
All right.
y'all did get a good win last week. I know
Hey.
you're down double digits.
hey, we won.
Yeah, I guess that matters.
We won. Here's the deal. Texas is #1 in the country. I'll give them props. Everybody knows they're going to choke and lose at least 2 games. So you got that going for you.
I don't know, man. I was thinking the same thing.
Hey,
man.
I
was-
know there's a lot of things you make fun of, but you can't make fun of the #1 ranked team in the country unanimously.
Oh,
That's
we
the
will
SEC
after this
effect.
week.
You know,
Hey,
That's the
listen,
SEC
I'm gonna be
effect.
honest
I
with you.
saw you make that post this
But
week, and I did everything I could
no,
not
no,
to
no.
say anything.
I
but,
was
know.
serious about that because I don't think if this exact same scenario happened last year, I don't think Texas jumps a #2 team, a #1 team in the nation that's in the SEC. I didn't mean that. I wasn't bashing Texas. I literally meant that. I don't think
buy
I
into
don't think
that.
the voters
I buy into that.
give them that. I don't think ESPN gives them that. I just really don't.
so I
I think they're the best team in the nation.
some.
Billy, don't ever say that.
Well, I mean, they're
I-
gonna have
Even
to
if
come
they
through.
are,
Listen,
we
gotta
can't,
come
we
through
can't
fast.
say it verbally.
October 19th, I have a credential for the Georgia game, which is going to be a night game, more than likely. Well, then I have to decide to either go to that or call in sick and not go to the Chiefs 49ers game.
Ooh.
Oh,
I got.
Or if you need a
I can only do one or the other unless you got a plane. You
I'd
know,
go to the Texas game.
it's not in Georgia. I can say just the fact that you don't know where it's at tells me I can't send you. No, I can't have y'all hanging around on the sideline not actually working. That'll get me super fired. Anyway, MVPs, go ahead.
All right, for Texarkana Friday Night Lights, our defensive MVP is Jace Elrod of Pleasant Grove. He had 12 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, and a block kick.
How many other Elrods are coming through there? I mean, they just seem to.
I think we're fresh out of Elrod's after
Fresh out of
26.
Elrod.
Fresh out of
Okay.
this is
Last
last
one.
Jackson,
The last Elrod.
Nick, y'all get after it.
And our offensive player of the week is none other than David J. 14 of 18, 405 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, David J's having an excellent season. He was also Texarkana Game Day's offensive MVP. He has a perfect QBR on the season. This particular game, he had a perfect QBR, playing lights out. I mean, absolutely dominant from his position. No interceptions thrown. I mean, it's just playing great football. Our defensive MVP was B.J. Rochelle, who I can make an argument probably the MVP on the season from the defensive side of the ball so far.
Oh, he's been a beast. He's averaging about 14 tackles a game. And, I mean, he's disrupting about 1 out of every 3 plays.
He would have won our MVP last week if we didn't have our you have to win rule.
Correct.
You know,
we gave it to him.
Yeah, I saw that. So BJ, shout out to him. He's tied for the most keep in mind a bunch of his are assisted, which is to be expected from the defensive tackle position. But we have 2 of the best defensive tackles in the state right here in Texarkana with him and Duncan McGee. They're both within 1 tackle of either leading or tying the tackles in Texarkana to be in the tackle leader from a defensive tackle position.
Pretty salty.
Which is freaking nuts. In other big news, and this is really big news, Lance Jackson got his 5th star
5 stars.
this last week. I remember having a conversation in late June with On3 and then a couple days later with 247 and asking the question like, hey, if this guy's not a 5-star, what exactly does it take to be a 5-star?
yeah. What was he
Because-
missing?
Yeah, like I was trying to understand, and I'll say he's committed to an SEC school. He's got 40-plus offers, all committable.
Checks all the boxes.
Yeah, I mean, like, what am I missing here? Like,
Landon?
why are we having to have this conversation?
Landon was 5-star, right?
He was, and he finished a 5-star. I know one time he went back maybe down to a 4 right after that camp in Florida, and then he went back up before he signed, I believe.
That's pretty cool.
So that's two brothers, both 5 stars. Landon's was a little bit different time. I mean, 5 years ago, what they're doing now with recruiting is not the same as now, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyway, shout out to Lance. I told him it was coming. I thought it would have been in July, but they move at their own speed, I guess.
He's still a 4-star in my book, though.
Oh, he's a 4-star in your book?
Yeah, he don't like biscuits and gravy.
What?
Yeah, so
That's the 5th star, isn't it?
that is the 5th star. You know, that's where
That's
I was
what it
kind of going
takes.
with that. And yeah, back at the lake in the summer, you know, you make biscuits and gravy and all that stuff. All the kids get up, and he's like, "Hey, I want to get some peanut butter and jelly." And I was like, "Bro, we just made all this." And he's like, "Man, I can't. It's just all mixed together. I don't. If it was all separate, I could probably eat it."
How we dang?
And I was like, "That's why you're not getting the 5th star."
Yeah. Big deal. So I was thinking, y'all may have to correct me, and I've done no research on this, but I was thinking, who have we had that had 5 stars? So
Clayton Smith?
Ryan Mallett. Clayton Smith got his 5th star in like February after
Yeah,
signing day.
late, yeah.
Which I thought was odd. I thought he deserved it, but I thought that was super odd. It was almost like they were waiting to see where he signed or something. Landon and pre-Ryan Mallett, I would have no idea.
I'm trying to think back just in previous.
Like it's rare. There's only
Yeah.
every year. So what I was told on that call late June, like at max, the most they'll ever have ever would be 18 5-stars in a class.
He could have been.
Like that would be it. They can have less, but at max they wouldn't have more than 18. So, and the thing is, like we have some guys that has potential. Like Tredarian Ball could be a 5-star. Quay Ford has that potential
For sure. Yeah.
and I'm still going to be on this hill right here that Duncan McGee is going to be a top 50 player in the country by the time he gets ready to sign.
He's still a sophomore, right?
With an asterisk
Junior.
that
Junior.
he could be another 5-star. They just don't. Their defensive tackles aren't walking around the country like him.
Right.
So with size, speed, agility, and everything he has, so we could very well see 2 on the same team next year. Possibly 3, but the third one probably wouldn't get his till the next year. Crazy, man. We have some talent in Texarkana.
No question.
Crazy talent. Anyway, shout out to Lance Jackson, Jackson family. It's awesome, man. I'm so glad they're from here. They've been so good to game day. All of them.
Game day's good to them too.
Yeah. You know, I like to.
They're good kids too.
Yeah, they are good kids, man.
Parents raised them right.
You know, they do. They've done everything for us. We do anything for them. Game of the week.
Is Texas High at Fayetteville.
I'm ready for that game.
Texas High is going to go into Fayetteville and play the number 1 team in 7A. I believe this is going to be a one-sided affair. Texas High takes their 8-9 Division I kids against the 2 UNLV commits in Garrett Odom and Parker Meese, both committed to Coach Barry Odom, which is Garrett's dad, former Arkansas DC. But, you know, we had a big heated discussion, you know, on the board this week. You know, all the Arkansas homers are like, oh, it's going to be close. Or Texas High, if there was a line to be a 17.5-point underdog, this game's not going to be close.
Man, listen. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
I've had 2 things that have happened where I was like, there's a difference. One of them goes all the way back to 2004. I show up at Henderson State. Everybody's talking about this kid that signed, and he's going to show up. And anyway, he rushed for like 2,700 yards in a season. Oh, dang. 2,700 yards has got to be legit. This kid shows up like a week and a half late. Coaches went and got him. It was so important because he didn't have a ride to college. So
Didn't
coaches
have a
went and
ride.
got this kid. When he came back, he wouldn't have been our 3rd starting running back. Like, this kid might not have ever touched the field on my high school team. And I'll make another statement about that Henderson State 2004 team. My high school team probably would have beat that team. And I'm just being honest with y'all. Like, they were bad. And it was I'd never been on a bad football team until I got to college. And let me tell you, it was like they were unbelievably bad. But anyway, that instance right there, I was like, okay, if you rush for 2,700 yards, I can't even think of a team we played this kid would start it on. And then Bryant came to Longview a few years ago. on a 50-0 record or something. Longview lost, and I believe the first round that year wasn't a good Longview team for their standards, and Longview beat Bryant. And I'm like, okay, I've seen all I need to see. They're in trouble in Fayetteville this week.
Oh, for sure.
No, they got.
Listen, I know they got some dudes.
Won't be close. The
But-
only team in Arkansas that can compete with Texas High is Little Rock Parkview. And Little Rock Parkview would beat Fayetteville 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Listen, and this, like, you know, my deal when I get in these other states, like, if somebody asks me what I do and I'm trying to explain to them, they, like, the first thing I get is, well, how does this compare to Montana or Wyoming or wherever I'm at? You know, I'm like, it's just uncomparable.
Right.
Like, there's 1,680 teams or something in Texas, something like that. I could be wrong, but somewhere around there. If you're a state champion in some of these states, including Arkansas, you might just be the best of 10, 12 teams. You got to be the best of 120 to 150 teams in Texas. Like, there's a difference.
Let's talk about the real elephant in the room. They're not allowing us to bring our blow up.
Are you
the
kidding
run out
me?
stuff. Mm-mm.
Not allowing?
Do
Do it anyway.
Well, there's
Hey,
some stuff in the. I'm gonna get
Jerry
my hands-
don't need 15 yards.
They're-
Just get that penalty.
They've got a lot of crazy. I mean, they're not giving tickets to coaches' families. They're not. There's a lot of stuff that
Y'all remember that when
it's-
they come here. Here's my deal,
it's-
Texas
listen.
High. Whoever's making these decisions, they do us dirty when we go to other places. Game day in particular. They'll like make us sit in the stands. They won't give us internet. They do all these little things. But then they come to Grimm Stadium and y'all act like, oh, we got to be good stewards and let's show them how much class we got.
Listen.
No, we got to stop that.
Here's-
If they do it to us, we do it to them.
Here's what you do. You beat their.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
what you do.
Well,
You
that's
just-
gonna
you
happen.
just-
I'm just saying, hey, listen, Todd Marshall, whoever's making these decisions, Jeremy Hare, whoever's doing them, we just need to keep a list. Whatever they do to us, we do to them. Because
Eye for an eye?
It's dirty. No, for real. Like, oh, hey, we have all this food, but nope, it's not for y'all. Y'all can't touch this. Okay. All right.
Yeah, now you're getting into my wheel.
Yeah, like,
Okay, I
you
see
know
what
how
you're
they
saying
do
now.
everybody.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, I'm telling you. But, yeah, listen, I have, like, Texas High, I'm trying to, like, think of a team I can compare them to. And they just happen to be, in my opinion, the toughest division in all of Texas high school football to win a state championship in, which is 5A Division II. You have those fringe teams that are coming up that you know are going to be 6A teams, possibly the next time they do this. You have a South Oak Cliff team that is basically a super team made up of who Duncanville doesn't want. And then you go down this list here and you look at these other teams like Port Neches Grove. They're in that area where they're the South Oak Cliff of Southeast Texas, you know,
Right.
as far as getting players down there. So, you know, there's crazy
West Or-
things going on to get these players.
West Orange Stark gets their leftovers.
Yeah.
And
So,
they moved us to number
well, you're number 2 on Max Prep, still number 4 on Dave Campbell's.
2. Yeah.
So, but when you look at this offense, I don't even know. It's on paper. You might find other places that have more stats. Like I know South Oak Cliff had a player with like 530 yards in one football game.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it South Oak Cliff? No, it was DeSoto. Never mind.
It's just almost like the first quarter. The offensive coordinator for Texas High is seeing what the defense wants to do to take away.
Yeah.
One of their options, but they can't take away all of their options, and it's just a.
Well, David J., if he continues to play like he's been playing, in my opinion, they're probably the state championship favorite. Like, David J.'s play this year, if you would have told me the first time I saw him, they played that Benton, Louisiana, when Cody Reese got hurt. Is that the game?
Yep, David J.
When
came
I
in.
looked at that film after, I thought, no disrespect, David J., I just thought Texas High was in trouble. You were a sophomore, and Cody Reese was pretty good.
I know he came in and threw for about.
Well, that's what I mean.
200.
And then I got the stats.
Yeah.
And I was like, did I really see what the stat sheet is telling me? And then you go to the next game, and you look at the stats again, and you're like, hold on. What am I missing here? It's like, did I just tune in, and he played bad for a series or something?
But
And he's got progressively better every year.
I'm gonna ask Billy this: we knew kind of last year what Texas High had and what they were kind of reloading with. Did you see it being as good
No.
as it is right now?
No, I saw it having the potential to be as good as it is now. I didn't see it in game 1, 2, and 3. I saw it deeper in the season. I knew, last year I didn't really know exactly who we were going to play in the preseason, and then or pre-district, and then when we got this gauntlet, I was like, I was talking to Coach Stanford, and I said it on this show. I was like, man, there's a good chance we could go 1-3. I mean, I think we've got a really, really good team. We could go in. He was like, there's a chance.
Yeah.
He's had a gleam in his eye this year that he hasn't had, and you get a lot of coach speak from him, but man, he knows the type of talent he has. It's just we're fairly deep this year, and we haven't been in years past. You look at Ahmad Moore that gets in the other night, and his first touch runs about 80 yards. Yeah. And it's not a wide open hole 80 yard. It's a juking back and. Speaking of juking back and forth, David J on the run.
I was saying 76 yards.
Leading rusher on the team.
Yeah.
Leading rusher, leading passer. What else you want to do? But seriously, if the play breaks down, David J goes now, and he's smart enough to get down when it's time, and knows when to put his chin strap down and roll over somebody when he needs an extra yard. But man, it's really, really cool. But when you start talking about week 13, 14, 15, 16, those are the kind of things where you have to have a lot of luck, and when I say luck, I mean staying healthy. Keeping kids.
Well, this is the last week I'm going to approve David J putting his head down and trying to run somebody over. This is the last week of approval on that for a while. But David J, to give you all some stats, he has a perfect QBR rating, which is insane for a high school player, and it's not like the kid's throwing the ball 10 times or anything. He's chunking it around for real. He's thrown 57 passes, 900 yards. He's averaging 300 a game, 8 touchdowns. To give you offense, 0 interceptions, apologize, which is crazy as well. Averaging 300 passing on the season for their offense, 250 on the ground. They have 3 players dang near averaging 100 yards a game. Shavonte Montgomery is averaging 100 yards a game.
Montgomery had like 5 catches for 100 and something yards,
154,
2 touchdowns.
yeah.
That was first half. It's all first half numbers.
And then you got Cam Reitner averaging 93 a game. Tredarian Ball's averaging 90. And 2 of them, Shavonte and Tredarian, are averaging 25 yards a catch.
What Javari have?
Javari, last game, he rushed 7 carries, 30 yards, and a touchdown. But let me tell you, this game had potential to be a legitimate dang near 1,000-yard night for Texas High if they wanted it to be. Let me tell you why. First game against Tyler Legacy, Texas High's offense took 68 snaps, averaged 7.25 yards a play. Against Argyle Christian, took 57 snaps, averaged 10 yards a play. Listen, against Midlothian Heritage, the big play ability was on display. 38 offensive plays, averaging over 15 yards per play.
Wow.
On average. So 575 total yards on 38 plays.
Just to play a little bit of devil's advocate, you got a 5-hour drive.
5-hour drive tonight.
And so then you've got, they've had a week off, so an extra week to prepare.
So this is their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. And
Sounds
so,
about right.
this is one of those deals where, you don't have the smoke at the beginning of the game.
Hold on. Don't say that.
Okay. All right.
You're
So,
not
I mean,
gonna. You're not gonna
this
have the
is-
run. You're not gonna have the run out tunnel.
Okay. So this is one of those things where, do they start off slow? I could see maybe a series or two having to get into the game, and then it's going to be over.
It's really good. Texas High's traveling tonight, but what's really good about it is you get that long drive, you get all of these things, you get a big game, and you get it pre-district. You get to see, because we're going to have some Houston trips or some past Dallas trips in the playoffs, hopefully, and you want to have been there before.
Man, I've seen the itinerary. It's not that bad. They get to the hotel at 10 o'clock tonight. then they're up for breakfast at 8 or 9 o'clock, and practice at 11. So I mean, they got some time to, and to rest and chill out and all that stuff. So I don't look at the travel gonna hurt.
Maybe a
people.
walkthrough at the greatest university on earth.
Yeah, I've seen that
Hey,
too.
Billy, you know
Somehow
who the
Billy
coach
turned
is?
this trip into a recruiting thing, so the Hogs need to be sanctioned for that.
You know who the head coach is, right?
Yeah, Casey Dick.
Casey Dick.
Yeah. You know,
I don't want this to go unsaid. The offensive line Texas High has right now, let me tell y'all, keep an eye on them. A lot of times, see, our cameras, they're following the ball, so you'll, see something in the background. They are nasty. I wasn't around for the 17 PG team, and everybody talks about how great that offensive line was.
They were nasty.
I'm not saying they're not better, but I don't know how couldn't be. This may very well be the best offensive line in the state of Texas.
Chisholm and Ford. I mean, those guys are. Here's the thing: is you talk about your cameras, but Jeremy and I are calling the game, and when T-Ball gets it or JJ or someone or David J throws it deep, my eyes go and call the play, but I get back. And some of these guys are not only still blocking, but on top of guys.
Yeah.
And it's
I got a
makes
video
the
to
hair
show
on my arm
y'all.
stand up.
Tredarian broke one against that Argyle team, and in the background, all 4 linemen are in a straight line, pancaked on top of 3 dudes. It's like, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Which, speaking of, hey, we need some sponsors for these offensive linemen on their player cards. And I was just randomly thinking last night, we need to get a pancake house or something.
God.
Or a card house or something like that. Maybe even a bank.
A card dash pancake house.
Yeah.
The card house is on tough times. We can't. We're not going to be able to sponsor any more cards for a minute.
Yeah, Card House has been robbed.
They got Ocean 11 over there.
Hey, and I'm the detective on the case, and I done figured it out.
You didn't know,
I got
Billy?
a pretty good profile.
Yeah, they broke in last Friday morning about 2:45 a.m. and stole one safe and broke into the other one. And they destroyed the ATM. And broke my glass.
They said they're tired of y'all charging $20 to pull $40 out of there. Tired of these fees. I am with them.
That's not me.
They're doing God's work. Listen, have y'all ever been to a casino and you're like, oh, I need to use the ATM machine, and they're like, oh, it costs $20 to use this particular ATM machine?
I always say the ATM and the casino is the best odds in the house.
Yeah.
Until you get to the
listen,
end where it
this
won't
is
give
true
you any
story.
more.
A few years ago, I once walked up to an ATM and I got whatever the max was, $400 or something. And I guess someone put the hundreds in the 20 spot, which I didn't even know hundreds went, or maybe they just messed up and put hundreds in instead of 20s, and hundreds started coming out. I was like, all right, well, maybe this messed up. Did it again.
That was a slot. That was a slot machine.
Yeah, and then it did it again. I was like, all right. And then my card wouldn't work after that time. I was like, man. But in my defense, I did call and tell them about it, and never asked for their money back. So
They never asked for it back?
no, never did. I mean, I guess that's just on Loomis or whatever. But over the defensive side of the ball, giving up 20 points a game. Most of these points, I mean, the mainstay of the points are going to come from the rushing game. Okay, I mean, they've given up. Let's see, 5. Well, I say that 5 rushing touchdowns, 4 passing TDs, but 4 of them, those passing TDs came against Argyle.
Well, when you're scoring that much, the other team's going to have an opportunity to go and score.
And you got to look at some of these scores are later in the game too.
Man, I'll tell you a coming out party for Roman White against Liberty Christian. He was guarding number 4, and I can't remember his name. And that cat can flat out fly. He never came off the field. He was by far the fastest guy on it. He stayed in his hip pocket the whole night. He got a late touchdown in the 4th quarter, but Roman White had a coming out party and has continued. You look at a couple of guys, Isaiah Dowden that we talk about at linebacker. He only played the first half the other night, had an injury, but Alex Jones, is just he's a ball hawk. It's just everywhere where the ball is, and man, if you get to where number 1 is in the tackle, Darnell Williams, he is coming downhill and he is bringing the pain with him. It's unbelievable. But and you got guys like Papa, and it's a Cooper. It's another one of those deals, Morgan, where a lot of times on a good team around here, we're talking about 1 or 2 guys, and now it's hard to, with Texas High this year. It's hard to talk about 1 or 2 guys.
They are stacked.
When
Stacked.
you got David J on the offensive side, and you're talking about perfect QBRs, and this is his first offensive MVP. It's just there's just a ton of talent on this team, and they're all getting their numbers.
I'm sitting here looking at linebackers. You got Dowden, Jones, and Cooper, all 20-plus tackles. Dowden leading it with 28. You go up, you have I'm going to call him a strong safety. You got Darnell, 20 tackles. An interception, which he should have more interceptions than one.
He's had 2 in his hands.
One of them called back.
One got called back.
He's on defense.
But then, when I look at this defense, Dowden is like the mainstay. Like, he's a reliable one. If he's in the play, he's going to make it. But you get down here to Duncan McGee. And I don't have his size. What is he, 6'6", probably? I saw him last night at Twisted Fork randomly, but I saw he was already walking off when I saw him. But at least 6'6", 290 to 300.
I don't know. It's hard for me to judge a guy that big because he can be 290 but be light on his feet. It's just.
So he's a junior. These high school linemen, I would imagine the average defensive tackle in the NFL is probably 6'3" to 6'5", 300 to 320 pounds probably.
Maybe a little bit bigger.
Taller. Give me an average on that. My man Jake can get that. He's good with that. So, and these high school players are having to play against him, and whether he makes an impact as far as the tackle goes or not, you aren't running up the middle. Unless you're going to double team, and then Isaiah Dowden's not going to miss a tackle. And is that play really worth 2 yards? So they're having to go to the outside, which we see constantly, or try to he brings so much to the table, and he's got 21 tackles on the season. Now, keep in mind, 17 of them are assisted tackles, but that's to be expected from a defensive tackle position.
6'3", 308.
Boom. I've seen him mess with me.
Right on it.
Mess with me.
You're right on it. Jay,
I'm telling you, I'm still going on my take from last year. Top 50 player in the country. This time next year, Duncan McGee. Second he hits one of these national camps, it's over with. Somebody's going to be like, who is this dude? And I'm going to be like, well, I've been telling y'all. So
where's his offers at so far? What's he?
Say you're going to put me on the spot with that, and I'm not going to know on the spot. But he's got good ones.
Yeah, right.
He's going to be able to go, I think, wherever he wants to go. I don't really know a whole lot about this Fayetteville team. I know that they're one of the stacked teams in Arkansas.
We don't need to know. We don't need to know nothing about them. We already know what's fixing to happen.
But I'm going to be on the Longview sideline tomorrow night, listening to the Texas High game. I got that thing on YouTube where I can listen and just turn my phone off so I don't use up all my battery. But
T-High by
how
6.5.
does that work anyway, man? I need to figure. How do you do that?
All right, so you got to pay for YouTube Premium or whatever, so you don't have ads and all that. And then, you can just listen to it in podcast form, start whatever, and click it, and you don't even have to.
Yeah, because every time, when you close, most of the time when you close YouTube on your phone, the sound goes away.
Yeah, not if you're a premium member, I think is what it's called. But man, when we get into, here's what I'm worried about with Texas High, and I don't want to. I know we've been 30 minutes on them, but they're that good. So they got Fayetteville this week, and we're making fun of Fayetteville a little bit, but they're a good football team. We're just really playing.
No, we're not.
But here comes the problem for Texas High. The next 6 opponents have 7 total wins so far this year. And
it gets slow.
It gets bad. Hallsville cannot compete. White House cannot compete. Marshall always gives Texas High a decent game for some reason. Mount Pleasant might as well forfeit.
McMahon's gone.
Jacksonville, bad. Nacogdoches has played 2 lower classification teams to get 2 wins.
Right.
So they're getting into that slump where like it's not going to be very much fun. Like there's not a whole lot to get excited about after these 3 games. Like they're going to be excited to play. Don't get me wrong, but like these games are going to be over before half. Like they're like, I was looking at my schedule, and out of these games, I'll be at 3 of them, but only for 2 quarters because I just can't see it mattering after 2 quarters.
Well, it gets to where like your risk is higher than your reward going when you trek through that district. You know, so you risk because you don't want to get nobody hurt because you know what's fixed coming in the playoffs. But the reward of it is playing the guys so much and, you know, letting them get some stats, letting them get some, numbers.
That's going to be the tough part is how long do you play him? How, you know,
Right.
I mean, because everybody, if you have somebody in the second half, and they get hurt, you're going to go, well, he shouldn't have been playing. I mean, that's a, you know, that's a couch coach's.
And the district is so bad. The 4 seed has beat the 1 seed in the district we play. Mm-hmm. You know, I think, what was it, Terrell or something one year? Mm-hmm. So that district's actually pretty good. So this district doesn't help Texas High at all. Mm-mm. Like it hurts them if anything else. And we're not talking from a ranking perspective. We're talking when you're getting ready for the playoffs. If Jerry didn't have these first 3 games scheduled, if he just played these caliber teams, like they're not prepared for a state championship run. Like this district kills them.
Mount Pleasant, believe it or not, they lost everything, but they went and almost beat Terrell last week. Mount Pleasant honestly could be second or third seed in this, and that's kind of a mouthful considering everything they lost.
And you know Texas High, you know you're going to get everybody's best shot in your district when you're the big man on campus. You're going to get everybody's best shot, and every game's going to be a trap game. But you're right. You should win going away in these games. And not saying they're going to, but
yeah, Texas High, I don't think it's going to be week 3 probably of playoffs where they can really that's when they probably have to play South Oak Cliff. Mm-hmm. So if they make it through that week,
just beat Longview.
Yeah, beat Longview 45-44. Instant Classic broke all of Game Day's records for single game viewership with that, man. It had like I hadn't looked at it since Saturday morning, but it was like 160,000 just on Facebook. It didn't include YouTube or anything.
I want to go back and watch that game.
Which I don't know what Facebook's got going on with that.
It was a dang good game. I went back to it several times, you know, but
Chuck Zach on those calls is good.
Chuck Zach is legit.
Yeah, he's a pro. He's like Jay and them. Is like they call it pro. You know,
Well,
I don't.
Hold on.
Chuck's at a different level. He's
Chuck for
he's
sure.
fun to watch.
Hey, I like listening to him in the spring in baseball. You know, I mean, so Billy is comical. Billy is funny to listen to. If you want to laugh and check out a good football game, go watch Texas High. Now, Harold covers for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know, you do the funny stuff. Then you switch over to Pleasant Grove. And we're just talking about streaming here, guys. We're not talking about the football team. Well, you got Jay and Mr. Fry. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mr. Fry knows everything. He every stat, and then here comes Jay with more stats.
They're a good 1-2 punch.
Yeah. So they know everything about the school, the bus routes. I mean, they can give you everything you want to know. You'll learn everything about that at a PG game. Not saying they're not funny, but it's just a different kind of commentary.
I do want to add childhood friend Keaton Daniels. When I started game day down there, I was like, hey, man, I really need you to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, he was a Longview dude, everybody knew him. I was like, man, I'm not going to be down there much.
You want to talk about a nice guy.
Oh, Keaton's real
nice.
That
guy is a nice guy.
Yeah, and Keaton's kind of the face of Longview game day, and like that's exactly like.
Well, yeah, I thought that too. He became it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I want it that way, man. Like that dude deserves it. And like when we did Jalen Hill's commitment, like, hey, all right, I'm gonna come off, you're gonna go on, and you're gonna be the one that does this commitment. And then we turn right around with Taylor Tatum, same thing. Like, man, like it means a lot to me that he is the one getting to do that because those kids look up to him. Like I didn't graduate from Longview. I went there almost my entire high school, or from little league all the way up to junior year in high school. But like it made a lot more sense for Keaton to be in that role.
It's important to him.
Frank has grown in his role. He's like known with all them. Like I don't know if any of them even know who I am down there. Mm-hmm. And then that's perfectly fine.
Oh, they probably was like, dang, Morgan's coming to town this week.
No, but Keaton. Man, I owe him a lot down there.
Oh, yeah, he's good. good for sure.
But switching over to PG at Kilgore, it's gonna be a tough week for Pleasant Grove, man. Kilgore's a really, 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 really good football team, and what PG's playing with the spread plays into how Kilgore plays.
You know, the thing about Kilgore and what's going to be good for PG is Texas High used to always have Kilgore in pre-district, and the reason being is because they are a smash mouth football team and always have been, and always felt like from Coach Norton to Coach Stanford, always felt like that Kilgore game would get you prepared for a run, and so PG's got their hands full for sure.
And they're battle tested too. Kilgore has not played a easy first 3 games.
I was really surprised to see Gilmer beat them.
And it was
You
down
know,
to the wire.
I actually talked to Coach Fuller Tuesday, and he's just like, man, we just didn't play our best game, and when you had to make plays, they made them.
Right.
Kilgore's the
Kilgore
better
beat
of the two
Carthage.
teams.
Yeah.
Kilgore will be the toughest game on PG's schedule. I know Gilmer won, but if they played 9 times or 10 times, Kilgore's going to beat them 9.
And Kilgore beats
Ben,
Carthage.
I can't agree with that. Don't you sit up here and hate on Gilmer because of what they did last year.
I still believe Gilmer is going to win the state championship in 4A Division II.
I can't argue that.
I've
And
said it.
Kilgore's going to compete for the 4A
Yeah, like
Division
I had
One.
an argument with Dave Campbell. I was like, how is Gilmer not the clear favorite?
Y'all play
Right.
What, like, is Carthage number
so.
1 just every year because they have to be number 1? If that's the case, say it. Gilmer is obviously the number 1 team in the state right now. I don't understand. Hey, speaking of, y'all see who Wimberley lost to?
No.
No, I actually didn't.
Man, and God, I had it on the tip of my tongue.
And I know you like to go off on
Listen, they lost to a trash team. The teams they've beat, Fredericksburg and somebody else, and they still have them ranked in the top 10. Drop Pleasant Grove out. They
Wimberley.
plays real opponents.
They give more money to Dave Campbell. This is how it goes.
We had this big argument that they have to keep a few of those teams on that side of the bracket in the top rankings because they're going to get whoever makes it from that side's getting blown out in the state championship game.
So
They
Pleasant
lost
Grove's
it.
out of the top 10.
Yeah, they're out of the top 10.
They lost
Hey,
to Lyndon
tell me-
B. Johnson of Austin.
Yeah, Austin, Lyndon, BJ, which they did play for state championship 3 years ago, lost to Stephenville if I remember right, but they're not good anymore.
I can't remember the last time Pleasant Grove wasn't in the top 10.
That's-
Can you?
It's been so long they
Yeah,
wrote a
it's-
story about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
Okay.
it's been
I was
that
fixing to say
long.
that.
Well,
I mean, they've
no,
just
now-
been a staple.
Now, the year Akari got hurt, they dropped out.
So that's 4 years ago. Yeah,
That's
4 years,
crazy.
and they
3
still went
years ago.
That's
4
crazy.
rounds deep
Yeah,
that
they
year.
still
Right,
did.
4 rounds deep.
But they started.
I remember
they
telling
started off
Josh-
so slow. You know.
I remember telling Josh, like, that's the best coaching job I think I've ever seen, that team going 4 rounds. And having a chance to win in the 4th round.
Almost.
would've
won
been-
the fourth round.
So, like, I was pretty.
Well, that'd have been 3 because that'd have been when Jarrett Halter
It was
came in.
2020.
Jared Hall,
Yeah.
Jared
Yeah.
Hall did come in.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
threw that overtime pass in Ford Stadium or
Star.
in the Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, to Jalen Bordley, if I remember right.
Yeah.
He caught. I think I still have the picture of that. He mossed a dude. But yeah, man, I forgot about that. Yeah, Jared was playing quarterback. He played really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Really well.
Yeah, and who'd they lose to that year?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it was Gilmer, but I don't really remember if I'm being honest.
No, it wasn't Gilmer. It wasn't Gilmer.
They beat Glen Rose, and who got them the next round?
It wasn't Cattle Mills. I can't remember.
I can't remember, but they beat Glen Rose, and they were.
I remember
not
they
supposed
beat
to
somebody in Mount Pleasant, like Quinlan Ford or something in Mount
Yes.
Pleasant,
Right.
and then the Star was the next week. They had a home game week 1 against somebody. Well, it doesn't matter.
How
I
early
guess.
do they play Gilmer in their?
They're like November 25th or something.
Oh, that's
That's senior night.
that's
Yeah.
that's
It's
gonna be
deep
the-
in the. It's deep.
that's gonna be because I think to me looking at PG this year they need I don't want them to play Gilmer early, but they need to have some games where just get everybody some experience.
The defense is nasty. They're very, very good. The offense
Keeps them
has
in the game.
A lot of playmakers, but they've got to figure it all out and put it together. But there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of kids people don't even know about that are very, very good.
Yeah, this year.
About that Watts kid.
Yeah,
He ain't bad.
yeah. Well, Watts has the second most rushing attempts on the season on this team, so he's getting the rock quite
He's
a bit.
running
has it,
over folks.
26 times. Nick Bell's 17 of these carries came last week, but Nick Bell's 38 attempts on the year, averaging 5 yards a carry. So, you know, the offense is going to be primarily rushing, as you all know. I mean, 830 yards rushing compared to 140 passing. I went through and looked like they are throwing the ball 25% of the time. But a lot of, I mean, you take out last week where they did switch back to the spread. I don't know if it would be that lopsided. As lopsided, I think it'd be more like 15% passing.
And the quarterbacks,
plays.
both quarterbacks made some nice throws last week, I thought, Jay.
Yeah.
You know, the first 2 games, we didn't look real good throwing it, but last week we made some nice throws.
The thing that I'm looking at with Kilgore is I want to see some consistency from the offensive line. Give a little bit, just that extra step of protection. Let the quarterbacks have, you know, an extra read and just see some consistency. You know, one of the successes or you know, part of the success that Pleasant Grove has had with this run with Coach Gibson is their efficiency on scoring on drives. Yeah. And I'm not seeing that this year.
Finishing.
And just being able to finish that drive and get some points on the board. And so that the consistency from the O-line, and then, you know, what can we do in that passing game? And I think that Pleasant Grove is going to be able to develop that passing game, whether that's some players coming off of JV stepping up, or just some new names being called out. But I mean, I've got some high hopes, you know, with the passing game moving forward.
Yeah, you know, main thing we were looking for last week, the turnover differential. I mean, 11 turnovers in 2 games. So now they're at 12. They had 1 last week. You know, if they got to get that turnover thing figured out. I mean, 11 in 2 games is insane. But, you know, 1 last week. The story of this team, it still just comes down to defense. Keep in mind this team's going to return 10 of 11 starters on offense next year, 9 of 11 on defense. So, in theory, they're really a young team, although a lot of these guys have played in big games. But coming up, I mean, they got Kilgore this week, then Sunnyvale comes here.
Mm-hmm.
And Sunnyvale's actually better than they have been in the past because they're ranked number 9, I believe.
Okay, and then they're off, and then they have a little bit of this Texas High schedule, North Lamar, Spring Hill, which Spring Hill, surprisingly, alma mater's not actually that bad this year. They don't look good on
They're
paper.
ranked 72nd in 4A Division II.
If they're not, you can make fun, but the games they've lost like really close
They
margins.
played Pine Tree,
and they're putting up. Hey,
yeah.
let me tell y'all something. I never thought I would say this ever in my life. When Kerry Lane took that job years ago, I thought to myself, because I've known Kerry since we were kids. I didn't text him this, but I told him later on. I told my wife, like, this dude's crazy. He left Gilmer to be the head, like the athletic director at Pine Tree. I literally said they must be paying well.
Right.
They are never going to be good. He got them good.
For sure.
Good, and I have to throw out air quotations. Good for Pine Tree. Don't mean that to be a hater, guys. It's just you're not.
They beat Gilmer.
Like you're not Longview. Okay.
Right.
This particular year, this move from 5A Division II to 4A Division I,
Perfect year.
I don't know if they got championship pedigree over there. Let me just say that. But they have a good football team this year.
Oh, they dropped down.
Yeah, they dropped down. I mean, like,
Your bride's commenting.
keep in mind, they may. I don't even want to do Coach Flora like this, but they're going to play with Kilgore.
Jen says, "What are you saying that Pine Tree is good?"
No, I didn't say they. I said they have potential to be decent. Nobody said they were good. I'm not getting any comments on mine.
She blocked you.
Yeah, she probably does. Jennifer's got her 20-year reunion this weekend,
Dang.
so I wasn't going to go, but then I was like, man, I better go.
She's
you
a
know,
Lobo?
you don't know who's going to be there. You know, I don't know who she was dating in high school or nothing. So I don't really. It ain't my type of thing. Y'all know me. I don't like to go to stuff like that.
You outkicked your coverage, no doubt.
No, she got lucky. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I could tell y'all some stories, man. I saved Jennifer's life. You know, she owes me a lot. You know,
It's getting. Is it?
she's.
Hey, we need to hurry up and get
she
this
ain't
show
even
on the
gonna
road.
respond. She don't want me telling.
Donovan, go lock that door.
Sorry, back it.
Lock both doors. Well, she probably got keys.
But yeah, no, I got to go down there and be sure nothing crazy goes on at this party. You know, I don't even
I'm
like
not
to go
gonna
to
sit this
stuff
close
like
to you
that.
and you get
I'm
smoked.
sorry. Back to PG.
But anyway,
Hey, let's skip the Pittsburgh deal and let's talk about our local boy LE first.
hold on. Let's talk about this Pleasant Grove defense real
Oh, yeah,
quick.
my bad.
Statistically, this is the best defense we've seen in Texarkana. Since game days started. I mean, they did give up their first touchdown last week.
Late.
9 points on the season given up, right? Or is it
13.
12? Well, no, one of them was a pick six. Remember?
Well, if it's only 6 points, that's the case.
Yeah. So,
Is
well, I
that
mean,
one?
I don't count that against the
Or
defense.
9.
You know.
That's salty.
Yeah. Man. Gibson told me B.J. Rochelle was going to have a big year, but 30 tackles,
From the nose tackle.
6 tackles
Yeah.
for losses. There's literally dudes his size standing in front of him, and he's getting tackles for losses. That's insane.
He's whipping them.
Listen, 6 QB pressures. This dude has 3 sacks. It's almost like nobody's standing in front of him. He's caused 2 fumbles. He's blocked 2 field goals. Like, how do you even get from a down position on a field goal to back there before the ball's even kicked?
So
And you know what I mean? It's crazy.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what happens, because I know I was a center when I was in high school. And you watch film and you see who your opponent's going to be that next week. Well, I'm going to give you a good example. When I was a senior in high school, Paul Pewitt had a guy named Melvin McGarry who weighed over 300 pounds. I was a 170-pound center. And my coach looks at me and he just walks over to me when we're watching film and he says, "Hey, man, just grab a hold. They'll never call holding on you all night. Just hang on to his jersey. They won't do nothing about it." And my coach was right. They never called holding on me. I had to grab a hold of him, of his jersey, and take a ride. And one of our running backs one time, we were in the huddle and waiting on the play to come in. He said, "I didn't know if Brent was heading the ball off to me or he's handing it off to Buddy, because he was already back in the backfield." So I'm telling you what kids look at on film when they look at him.
Yeah.
When they look at BJ, they're like, "Man."
Good luck.
Like
have a
sometimes
rough
I
week.
wonder, like he's leading the team in tackles. A defensive tackle
That's
is
tough.
leading the team in tackles.
And then you've got a sophomore, Corey Cranford, who has helped solidify that line.
Yeah. Lance, we can't come up here and not talk about Lance Jackson. They're literally running away from him every play. It's got to get old. But he's got 24 tackles on the year.
But hey, I
4
tell
sacks.
you, watching the game, going back and watching it and stuff, hey, he runs from the backside and still gets into the plays.
Yeah. Listen, they ain't trying to have any problems with him.
Yeah.
But a big number for this defense, they forced 8 turnovers, and their third down percentage, you have a 19% chance of converting your third down against Pleasant Grove. That's a tough number.
It is.
Who we got? Liberty Ilo?
Well, I figured we'd jump them up real quick.
Okay.
Why would we jump LE up over to Jefferson?
Okay.
Well, they're not local, man. I mean, I want to talk about the LE team.
That's what he said. He said we're jumping him over Jefferson. Are we doing that?
That's what I thought about doing. He's over here being.
guess.
Well, Pittsburgh at Jefferson, good luck.
Yeah.
I know they have the running back going to Air Force at Pittsburgh, but Coach Ty Taylor, boy Trey, big pressure Carson,
Mm-hmm.
they are rejuvenated and
Why would you
excited
even
down
put
there.
that before that? That makes no sense.
Well, one, because when they play, Jefferson's probably going to beat them.
Beat who?
LE.
Man, you are.
Well, anytime you got Owen on your
yourself
team,
a
you're in
drug
trouble.
testing.
0-3, 0-4. It's
See,
a tough
Jay,
year.
man, you got to watch Jay. Jay's sneaky funny.
I was like, man, that guy knows every player. How does he?
I was wondering that too.
Well, anyway,
Don't worry, we know that joke, man.
Hey, I'm
Razorback.
telling you, hey, just listen to him and Matt Fry on a Friday night. Hey, they don't let nothing go
It's like
unsaid.
Howard Cosell and
Yeah.
Dandy Don Meredith.
Hey, Matt will start out a stat, and Jay will finish it for him.
DeKalb did play Jefferson pretty good
That was a good game.
Friday. So, man, I have this Jefferson LE game circled.
that's going to be a great game.
Yeah, I think that has potential for that place to be packed out. Great time. I think the kids, the
When do
baseball
they-
team will get their rings that week.
I ain't looked at their schedule.
I want to watch this LE offense. I hadn't gotten a chance to go back and watch them much, but I hear a lot
Yeah.
of conversation
They're-
about it and how fast they go.
Yeah,
I like
switch
that.
it over to LE. I mean, they played Carthage last week. I mean,
They were shorthanded, so it wasn't really what we expected to see.
yeah.
I think if they're at full strength, they play a lot better.
Yeah. I just don't know that they have anything for Carthage, and that's not a knock on them. Anybody doesn't. And they're a division below Carthage.
They don't have to worry about them
Yeah.
no more. It was a good test for them to play them. I mean,
But Bullard, has got problems
Yeah.
this week, especially coming off that last week.
It's not going to be close.
No, Bullard's down. Then another great game the week after, Tatum coming to town.
Mm-hmm.
So always a good game. This Gladewater game, I don't really know if Gladewater's good or not.
So I can tell you, I watched them when they played Dangerfield the first game of the season. They remind me of like that 1990s team. I mean, they were playing smash mouth football.
It looked like a good win
It did.
until after week 3. And then you're like, okay, is Dangerfield just not good?
So it's not that Dangerfield's not good. They're good. They have playmakers.
They beat Hooks last year. You know
They have to put things together.
Yeah.
Ah, dang, Ben. You gonna make me say something ugly to you on there. But
He wouldn't do that to you, buddy.
yeah, he would. But Dangerfield is good. They have playmakers, and they're gonna put it together.
They were supposed to beat Pleasant Grove, wasn't they?
Somebody
I think
put
somebody
on that
bet.
or
I
something?
think somebody bet $200 that they were going to beat Pleasant
Well,
Grove.
hey, listen, no slide against Pleasant Grove or anything like that. This bet was made way back in the summertime.
That was an emotional bet because Hooks got took to the woodshed.
God dang. Anyway,
Hey, Ben, let me tell you, be careful messing with these Hooks people. It's
you think
listen, no, I've not that I know of. They've always been really, really good to me. It's one of my favorite places to
Ben
go.
thinks
They are
That
great
may be
guys.
the lead to the text line deal.
Hey,
Yeah.
That's probably who did.
Ben
it,
thinks
right
his front bumper's messed up. You think your front bumper's messed up? Keep on
Listen,
talking.
hey, this school just won $5,000 for liking and sharing stuff on social media.
Ooh.
Don't get a post out there
Whoa.
talking about you. All right,
Hey, 'cause we will like it and share it, and we'll burn you.
like that. They'll burn you. All right. Now
Hey,
they've
all I'm
never done
saying-
it. They've been nothing but great to me. But I'm just saying they are a tight knit community.
Here's
You
the
make
deal.
the wrong person mad, you got problems.
The last time they got into it with the outfit was Dangerfield. It didn't end up well, so maybe I'll end up like Dangerfield.
They did put up 90 points a week before though.
Oh,
They scored them all that first week. They didn't save him for the second.
I did
When-
have really high hopes for that game, man. I'll be honest. Like
Everybody
I was
did.
really, I was
Everybody
excited
did.
all week about
I actually
that game.
thought Hooks was going to beat that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
really
I don't know. You knew there was going to be a difference in line play, but I didn't know if it was going to matter, but it did matter. I don't know. I was disappointed. I really was looking forward to that. But
So who do we think when later in the year when Ellie and Jefferson do face off? Who do you think?
I got
wins?
Ellie.
I haven't seen Jefferson play yet. That's the thing. Like, I just know this offense that they're running at Lee for a 3A team is going to be very difficult to stop because they're going to find open people. And then Tripp doesn't really make mistakes.
He doesn't.
So, like, I don't – so a part of me is like, I don't see how Ellie can lose. But then you flip side it, and you're like, well, I know what kind of coaches Tyler, Trey, and staff is. Can't
We'll have Prevo back by that game, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Jefferson, for me, on the offensive
Please.
side, they've got 4 seniors that have stepped up, and that's who Liberty Islo is going to have to worry about. And Thomas Taylor, quarterback, 600 yards passing already, 7 TDs. Cameron Williams, a running back, has 600 yards rushing,
had
9 TDs.
200 back-to-back 200-yard games.
And then 2 wide receivers, Chris Love with 200 yards, Jakari Johnson 171. They've got 6 TDs between them. I mean, they've got some offensive weapons. That week for me, you could have 100 points scored between those 2 teams.
How do you pronounce the quarterback's first name?
I believe it's Thomas.
Thomas.
And I'm going to go ahead and say this before we move on any farther and say anything else. Yes, DCAB played a close one with Jefferson. If you don't give DCAB a shout-out, boy, they will get mad. So we're giving DCAB a shout-out. You
DCAB
did
been wearing me
good.
and Buddy out on the board.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't me. Somebody else was on there
Well,
talking.
listen, we have
No, they were after both of us.
I got guys. I don't know. They hadn't been at every game because one of the games they played were not even close to here, if I remember right. But we get highlights when we can up there. Like we have someone that goes. I pay them to be there. And
Right.
if I'm not mistaken, I don't know that we have a sponsor for DCAB, and we still do it. We may. No, we do have a realtor.
You do?
sponsor
Yeah,
of
you got a
DCAB.
realtor guy.
Yeah,
Larry.
Rip England.
Larry.
Yeah, that's right. Larry
Larry
Knight. Sorry about that, Larry. Tony Basso handles that area for us, so hadn't actually met him.
Hey,
But-
somebody had made a post on there and said, I don't even know who it was. Somebody said something. They called the dogs off or whatever. And, boy, that fired DCAB people up.
Well, there was actually 2 or 3 very questionable calls that kept that game close, too. Jefferson was rolling and got some stuff taken away. I mean,
So it is true.
It shouldn't have been that close.
By the way, super cool picture you got of Landon and Nick. That was the
I actually
best
printed
picture.
a bigger one out for me to put up here in the store over
Yeah.
there.
That's
Man,
sharp.
that was what do they call it? A core memory? That was a core memory for me. I'm going to remember that. I'll be talking about that for a long time, man. That was really exciting. I guess the only thing now that could top that is taking the same picture in an NFL stadium.
That would be
There's
cool.
a chance.
with
There's a
NFL
good chance.
jerseys.
And there's a chance of that.
If that happens, that immediately, I don't know what would top that other than,
Them being on the same team.
or somebody in the future winning a major college football award, like a major award. I don't know. Like I don't know if we had a picture of those two in NFL jerseys. Let's just say at AT&T Stadium. For me, I don't know what would top that, because those two dudes really looked out for us. Love those guys, man. It was special for me to be there. Shout out to Wholesale Electric for making that happen, getting me up there and back, timely manner. Appreciate that though, Billy. Games in the area. We talked Pittsburgh, Jefferson. Mod's going to Overton, and then
They're
let me
looking
tell
for their
y'all,
first
man,
win. They're looking.
I'm about to tell y'all some a wild statement. New Diana's good at football,
For sure.
and they have a player that is destroying people.
Oh, he's a stud.
He sent 2 people to the hospital the last 2 weeks. Is that true? That's what I was told. Like they had to do
I
like
don't know
big time
that. I
stuff.
read it.
He had
I read it
he had a
somewhere.
quarterback so hard they had like stoppage in play for a while, and like ambulanced or airlifted him out, one of the two. And I hope I'm not embellishing that. That's what I was told. It's not like you can go watch New Diana play football
That,
online.
the New Diana Redwater game, it's going to get out of hand. Redwater's breaking in a new quarterback. They've had some attrition this last week, and they had a really rough go at Pewitt. So this could be 60-0.
I mean, number 6 in 3A Division II. I never ever thought I would say that about New Diana. Growing up, like you had to play at if you played at New Diana, it's because you literally couldn't play anywhere else.
Well, things are changing.
Things have changed, and that's not good news for Gilmer.
Gilmer.
Gilmer gets a couple of those kids.
Oh,
I mean, hey, you don't want to play. You don't want to be on a terrible team, so you're right there.
But I will tell you though, I mean, don't be fooled. I mean, that town has got some money.
absolutely.
That is.
All right, so when I was growing up there, it was all like, I'm not going to say farmland, but pasture land. And now, yeah, I guess it had, because it's grown.
Well, it's a suburb, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it has
Yeah.
turned into a suburb. But let's say, your kid can't play at Longview, but Hallsville has been that spot. Now it's kind of turning into, like when I was growing up, Spring Hill was that.
Right.
So I guess things are changing.
Well, going back to that same idea, me and Buddy's talked about this too, and we talk about Redwater here. If I was the coach at Redwater, I promise you Redwater would have success, because I would go mine all these high schools around here, and all those kids that are not getting to play in town. You could make Redwater a very, very, very good program.
You
with
can
the
also
right people.
get suspended from the UIL for life. It sounds like what happened to you. You would be the first, I guess not the first, because the dude down there at North
He
Shore.
can do it legally.
But you're definitely
It goes on.
going to Austin and getting suspended for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and you
especially after your.
He would be
listen,
selling.
this
He
is
would
not-
be selling the academics of Redwater.
Here's
And
the
this is
sce-
the reason why
here's
you
the
want to come.
scenario. With the right coach, with vision, could win at Redwater.
In a booster club.
And what you need to do is tell them, say, look, we may not win a game for 3 years, but we will turn this around.
Listen, I don't know. I don't even know if you can make that statement.
I'm gonna go out and
like-
say nope.
No, what I mean is, like, I grew up around that area. I lived in Longview, but I have family. Like every weekend, we spend time up there. Like my cousin Cody played there, and it's always been a little joyful. We just trash talk because when I played them, this is true story. 2001 or 2, I believe, we went and played Red Rock. It was pouring rain, and it was like 65-0 at halftime. And the reason I'll never forget that, Redwater. And we were ranked number 2 in the state. And the reason I'll never forget that is the coach came in the locker room at halftime and told us, hey, like, y'all are obviously a better football team, but if y'all score another point, we're done playing. And it was like, okay.
Y'all just kneel on
Like,
the ball?
it got out of hand really quick. And, I mean, we were just a really good football team that year. And in their defense, when they scheduled Spring Hill, it was before all the Longview kids were forced to go to Spring Hill. So they were bad, and they immediately got pretty good. I got some pretty good kids out of that deal. But they have potential. Redwater has potential. If you look at like the schools that size that have a lot of success in Texas, they look like the Redwater community. I mean, what I mean by that is the small community kind of in between, right outside of a bigger city. So it can happen there. And listen, like the last coaching staff, I haven't like been out there and seen the new one. So let me just say that I haven't seen it in person. I hear they're doing really good things. They're doing what you expect. The last coach, like I saw that. Like I had a nephew that played, and I remember him like it was yesterday coming in and complaining about the work they were doing during the summer. And I literally looked at him, and I remember being like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, they make us do that, you know." And I'm like, "Everybody does that. What are you talking about?" You know. So there were, I guess, the point being is there was an obvious difference from whoever the coaching staff was before to that coach, like making them work out in the summer and do things you have to do to be a winning football team, and that's carried over. You know, we'll see what happens. They can have success there. I just don't know what that looks like right now. You know, so wishing y'all best of luck this season. They are going to have trouble with New Diana tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, it's going to be. Yeah.
And I would have never guessed that either when this season started. So
I guess before we close out.
Well, hold on. Let me do this.
Hold on. All
right. I'm gonna be in Longview, state championship in Louisiana.
Pizza King.
You know what? I'm a little salty with Pizza King.
I know you are.
They hadn't reached out. They hadn't offered me a free pizza or anything.
As much as we talk about them.
I know. I don't know what's going on with Pizza
Between
King.
them and
man.
Buc-ee's.
You know, like yeah, dude. See, I don't know if Pizza King's got money like that, but I know Buc-ee's does. You know, so let's hold off on the Buc-ee's from now on. I might have to switch it to Love's or something.
Okay.
But Longview lost South Oak Cliff last week. Got Ruston, the defending state champions, coming into town. Going to be an exciting game, 7 p.m. kickoff. Tune in for that, which really, I know everybody's going to be watching this Texas High game, but about halftime, you can turn that off.
And one thing I want to say about that, about Longview game day, if you've never heard Coach King talk, it's something to listen to. I like listening to Coach King talk.
Yeah, Coach King's a good dude, man. He's always good for a hot
like
take.
Old school.
He's like the only one left, like the old school Texas football coach.
He can still get away with a lot of things most people can't. Let's say that. Hooks travels to Winsboro.
Yes.
Atlanta travels to Mount Vernon. White Oak comes to Queen City, which could be a win for the Queen City.
It's a two-point spread.
Who makes spreads for high school football?
Pigskin Prep.
Okay.
So everybody quit beating up Ben.
You probably
He's
should
just
put that
relaying.
where
He's
they're
just
coming from.
relaying the message.
Buddy, how many times have I said where they come from, and every week somebody else
They
is
still blame
offended?
Ben. Ben's the bad guy.
You know, Clarksville, they're 48-point dog to somebody. Oh, you're picking on Clarksville. No, it should have been 65.
Yeah. Center travels to Dangerfield. Maybe Dangerfield looking for their first wins. Shout out to them Huge Springs, whatever their mascot is. Mustangs. Got 2 wins on the season. Frank Gallagher's going nuts.
Man, you know
He's
who
considering switching squads, is what I heard.
Dang.
Nah, I did not take it that way.
He was over in Huge Springs smelling the air. That's all I'm saying. Why would you be over there seeing if it smelled better if the grass was greener?
Well, you know they throw food on him over there. Like they threw nachos on him and all kinds of stuff. Like they did him dirty.
Utter disrespect,
We
Frank.
know the head coach at Hugh Springs is another one of Josh Gibson's former assistants, Blake Worley. You know, you got Clint over at Kilgore. You know that Josh Gibson coaching tree is kind of sprawling across East Texas right now.
Yeah, he's got some guys that are going to be head
And
coaches that
you
are
know,
there with him
Ty
right
Taylor.
now. Yeah,
You know, I mean, it's crazy.
I like Ty a lot. Hope we see him back in
And
Texarkana at some
and
point.
he's built a staff down there.
Yeah.
That's going to be something else in Jefferson.
Notable games, number 5, Gilmer at Lindale. Wimberley's ranked in front of Gilmer.
Stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Like, it's just crazy to me. Like, Dave Campbell's, man.
They
like,
donate more money.
Like, I don't even know.
Like Pleasant Grove right now, you know, everybody knows Pleasant Grove is a little behind what they were last year. Pleasant Grove beat Wimberley 3 touchdowns right now.
Yeah. I just have no respect for that program.
Honestly, most of our
I don't.
Like,
Like, go look
Jefferson,
at their
LA,
schedule.
I
They're
know.
playing freaking Fredericksburg, Lampasas, Come up here and play some of these teams. Let's see how the schedule looks. Because you get beat by 70 on national television every other year.
There's no athletes in the Hill Country outside of Austin.
Man, I don't know. Dave Campbell's, y'all just making me laugh. All right, game of the week, by far. Number 1, Carthage in 4A Division 2. I think they're number 2, but I got them, Dave Campbell's, have them ranked number 1. Tyler Chapel Hill, number 5 in 4A Division 1.
Carthage could lose that game.
At Carthage. I'd say Carthage is going to lose that game.
To Tyler Chapel Hill?
Yeah, and
You're
I
really
just
dirty,
want to remind
man.
all y'all, I said Kilgore was going to beat Carthage.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carthage loses, and I think they lose by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Yep.
very possible.
And then Harmony at DeKalb. I say, why is this on here? I looked down here, Harmony. DeKalb. They're playing the DeKalb Bears. And I have that as one of my starred games, DeKalb, so y'all know.
And DeKalb is a 25-point favorite over Harmony.
Run it up.
Yep.
Run it up. Get you
Stat
some
game.
stats in. Try to get one of these MVPs. I want an MVP out of DeKalb. I like going to DeKalb personally. What's that little restaurant they have there?
The Junction.
Junction.
I've been there twice, 2 separate times, not even close. Neither time would they let me pay. Wow. I don't like that. But, I mean, shout out to them. It was the Junction. I don't know if somebody paid for it or they just took care of it.
And they got their new building open now.
Do they?
It's
I
on
need
the
to go
other
check
side
it
of
out
82.
then.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, some of the best times I've had with game day has been in DeKalb, specifically during those years, like when Atlanta would come to DeKalb, when Damien was playing, and they had Timon Proby and the brothers that played for DeKalb. Can't think of the names, but a lot of fun times have been had in DeKalb for me. I have really good memories there, and decided to get back there again soon. It's just hard for me to get there during football season. I apologize. Well, guys, I've got a breakfast I'm late for.
I got one last thing to say on a serious note. If you're watching this, we are offering a $2,500 reward for the burglary of text line. You'll remain anonymous.
Well, I can solve this for you right now. Give me $2,500.
No, you've got to
I
bring
already,
the
I
real
already
people.
I already gave you the profile of who it is.
Hey, and also, guys, if you can't make a game, always tune in. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, and get out and support.
Buddy,
these,
can I get some interviews this week, please? We're going on week 4. I have not a single interview from you.
Yeah,
Post-game interview. You have an excuse after every game.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Till next time.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all.